I would like to call neighborhood development to order. Can you please call the roll?
Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Here.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Present.
Alderman Todd,
Present.
Chairwoman Hubbard.
Present.
5 present, you have quorum.
Thank you all for joining us today. As you all know, we are very busy, especially those of us who are in campaign mode. So I definitely would like to move expeditiously through this committee because we have so many meetings this week. So our first order of business, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the, let's see, let me get the date on it, from the November 24th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the November 24th meeting.
Second.
Okay. Can you, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Chairwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
5 aye votes.
And so our second order of business will to bring before us Board Bill number 175. I believe Alderman Cone will be handling that bill for Alderwoman Ingrassia.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Zach, is SLDC on the line? Zach Wilson?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So Alderwoman Ingrassia asked me to present this to the committee this morning. This is a development. I don't have the particulars in front of me at the moment. I'm trying to log into my laptop here, but this is related to the Jefferson Connector project in the Midtown neighborhood. The developer is Jason Johnson with Renaissance Development. This is part of a pretty large project that they're working on right around the Locust, Olive, and Jefferson intersections. And, you know, they're, I'm willing to entertain any questions from the committee. But Zach, if you could provide more of an overview from a financial perspective, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, they're renovating a single-story commercial space for about a little over $600,000, close to $700,000. They'll provide 25 new jobs, 20 full-time, 5 part-time, about 5,000, a little over 5,000 square feet. And we have Jason Johnson online too, if you have any questions.
Okay, so at this time, we'll entertain questions from the committee. Alderwoman Murphy.
I don't have the complete bill in front of me either. What are the specs as far as like abatement and or TIF involved in that? I'm trying to pull it up now. If somebody could answer that, thank you.
10 years at 90, that's what the rest of the Jefferson Connector received.
Okay, and that's what was recommended by CSLDC, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, that's all. I just wanted to know what that was. I can't find it. Thanks.
Okay.
No more questions.
Is Alderman Bosley on yet? Okay. Alderman Narayan?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Todd?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. I have a few questions. I know we all are all over the place today, and it's been tough, like just getting the documents before us. But I do have a few questions. Can you tell us what the total investment will be and what the acquisition cost was? Can you just give us like a rundown? Because I think it's important for us to look at, you know, what the total value of the incentive will be, and especially in a situation such as this, you know, because when I have a lot of bills, they are often under so much scrutiny. And then when certain people in other parts of the city have the bills, it's like no questions from anybody. So I definitely would like us to just start being more equitable across the board in how we question and critique these board bills. You know, if I can stand the beat up and the gazillion questions about the financial feasibility of the developer, I feel that every bill should. So can you just give us a brief overview of what the acquisition cost was, what their actual plans are? And I apologize that we all aren't more prepared this morning. It's been a trying week already, and it's just Tuesday. So if you could just give us an overview, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't have the acquisition costs in front of me, but Jason, can you inform them of that, please?
Sure. Part of the reason why we're actually reviewing this project today is because when we did the overall approval for the Jefferson Connector project, this actual acquisition of this building and in the parking lot were done with two separate real estate contracts, and the building portion address was actually left off on accident, and the parking lot portion was part of the global Jefferson Connector kind of approval. So that's why this one's kind of being tacked on as a separate thing down the road. The acquisition of this piece, I believe, was $275,000. And it looks as if there's going to be about almost $600,000 spent on the actual redevelopment of the project itself. If that makes sense. And just as a side note, this basically is a project that is directly between where kind of Midtown Alley ends and downtown West begins. And so it was an important abandoned building that we were able to acquire and in essence help continue to knit together the fabric of that corridor in order to connect the two pieces and get the density that we needed in order to make the neighborhood walkable in that particular block to connect the two pieces. So it is a pretty important project for that part of the connector. Anything else I can tell you more diving into the weeds? I have the financial analysis in front of me about more specific about the costs associated with it other than just the global cost.
Great, and I appreciate you offering that insight on it. I definitely am in support of the project and just the whole Jefferson Connector. And maybe this is a question for SLDC. I know in the beginning, because I had sat in on a lot of those meetings just to change that whole corridor and that whole streetscape. From the funding, I was told, was in place from Jefferson to Cass near NGA. Did they get the additional funding to take that all the way to Natural Bridge? Is Dale or someone on that could possibly answer that?
Yes, I am here. I'm not involved in that Jefferson improvement. I'm not certain if they have the final funding all the way up to Natural Bridge or not.
Okay, well, if I guess what I'm asking is maybe possibly that we can get a update regarding it. I know a couple of years ago we saw all these massive presentations and what we were going to try to do with that entire corridor, and so I definitely would like an update on that as we move forward. And I don't know, so who would be the contact on that? Is it Otis, or who's the contact?
It would be Rob Orr with Major Projects.
And I'll have him send you an update.
Okay, thank you. And so if there aren't any other questions, I'll entertain a motion for passage of Board Bill 175.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 175 out with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Chairwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
5 aye votes.
Okay, Board Bill 175 is out with a due pass recommendation. Next we have Board Bill 182, Alderman Guenther.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and members of the Neighborhood Development Committee. Board Bill 182 that is in front of you is for a development at 2800 South Jefferson. This essentially has been a long time LRA vacant lot. Again, it's on South Jefferson, so maybe we can talk about that Jefferson connector going further down south too. Board Bill 182 is for a tax assurance. So we are in an effort to change some of the ways that we do these. We're offering them a tax assurance with pilots, essentially about $575 per unit, with a 2% escalator every year. The developers are the Flyover Fund, and I believe I saw Drew Sandler, one of the developers, on this. So if he wanted an opportunity to say a few words, he is also on this call. To mention just a couple things, Drew and his team, his architects, met many times with our neighborhood association, building review committee, to come up with a attractive development that we thought benefited really kind of the corner of Jefferson and Lynch Street. It's going to be a 4-story building with 42 apartment buildings in it. It'll have ground floor parking for all 42 units. But we also, one of the things that we asked was that the developer fit a commercial space into the corner to kind of keep the commercial strip of South Jefferson vibrant. So that was one of the concessions that the developer made, as well as we went back and forth with some of the aesthetics of the outside of the building. And essentially the neighborhood association asked the developer to add a whole lot of brick to the building that they originally weren't going to. So kind of the combination of some of the requests from the neighborhood and the developer's willingness to agree to them are why we decided to come up with this tax assurance program. So that's about what I have. I will let Mr. Sandler say something if he would like to.
Great. Thank you very much, Alderman Guenther. This is Drew Sandler. I'm one of 2 partners with the Flyover Fund. As Alderman Guenther mentioned, we have been working on the site since late 2019. We put it under an option contract with the LRA and have been fortunate to work alongside Alderman Guenther with Denton Park Neighborhood Association, cultural preservation to ensure our development aligns with their guidelines and standards. And what we have, I think, is a beautifully attractive building. Of course, as Alderman Guenther mentioned, the costs have risen quite a bit. To give a little bit more background on there, and I won't go too deep, but our total development cost is close to $10 million, which comes out to around $225,000 a unit. And so really what the assurance program is offering us and enabling us to do is get this built with the higher cost. So we're excited to get started. We have spent a lot of time over the past, call it 18 months with everyone and various entities, and we're fortunate to be here. So thank you, Alderman Guenther.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. And Madam Chairwoman, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
You're on mute, Ms. Chairwoman.
I'm sorry, Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so where did the $572 per unit come from? How was that calculated?
I believe that would be a answer that Mr. Wilson could give you. I know that when they were looking at the development cost and they were looking at what the dollar amount being an LRA that it brings in right now of $0, and the development cost, they were looking at what would be a fair kind of number for being there for the city and for the developer. So Zach might be able to answer a little bit about that number.
Yeah, we have Matt Bauer on the line. He's our financial analyst on this project, so he can go in depth how that number came up. came with.
Yep, this is Matt Bauer at SLDC. It's equivalent roughly to 75–80% of a traditional tax abatement, but designed as a flat fee. Well, a flat fee, and then escalating from there on going forward. So that's where it came from. This is accompanied by the traditional scorecard analysis that we have. It scores 3.75 out of 5. Also, the benefit over the base, let me zoom in a little bit. The benefit over the base over 10 years to the city is $236,000, and to the school district about $187,000. Over 20 years, it's about $580,000 to the city, and over $900,000 to the schools. Net present value. As you can see in the early years, it by the graph, even with the tax abatement, it tracks closely to the neighborhood average, the blue line there. So it falls just short of fiscal advantage compared to the neighborhood average, but over 20 years, it's $133,000 to the city and $200,000 to the school district. The benefit to the developer is about $750,000. So I think that answers any. I'm happy to answer any. Oh, sorry. The return to the developer is at the low end of the market range, so that the incentive definitely helps them push closer to a market average in that case, as he indicated with the additional cost. So I'm happy to answer any other questions on the financial analysis.
Thanks, Matt.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was an excellent explanation. Just for the public that might be viewing when you say the flyover business and the pilots, perhaps someone could explain what the acronym pilot means for the public. I know we throw around these all the time, and the public viewing may not understand what that means, payment in lieu of tax. Anyway, I don't know who wants that, but I just thought for general knowledge, the program sounds
Sure.
wonderful. I'm very happy.
Sure, I'll take it. A pilot is an acronym for payment in lieu of taxes. So, I mean, the pilot in these cases are distributed the same way as an actual tax payment. But essentially, what happens is technically what happens is the property is abated at 100%, but then a fee is charged to the developer. And then distributed as taxes would normally be. So it just, in this case, the $575 or $572 payment per unit is paid each year and then escalates 2% every year for the term of the tax abatement. And at the end of that, taxes return to normal.
Thank you. So I said generally, I just wanted the public to know it's an agreement between the developer and the city, rather than I don't know, for lack of a better term, a codified tax thing. It's more like an agreement between them. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. It sounds like a wonderful development. That's all.
Alderman Bosley, he's still not on yet. Alderman Ryan.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just a comment, Alderman Guenther. I think this is a pretty neat project. I like that you got creative with it and used the pilot program, and that you got some serious input from the community, from what it sounds like, with getting the brick facade back and things like that. Just looking at the mock-up here, the rendering, it looks like it's going to bring some continuity to that strip there. So I think this is a great project. I'll be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I am here. I just look like I'm Terry Kennedy from the name. I didn't get the actual.
Go ahead, Alderman.
I'm sorry.
If you're up to speed, Alderman Bosley, would you like to ask any questions regarding this particular bill?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Alderman Todd?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. I do have some questions, and I just keep having to ask these kind of questions because it literally just blows me away. Can you all explain to us why this project only received a 3.7 out of 5? Is Jonathan Ferry on to explain that?
I'm on, and I think looking at it too, and I have to agree, it's been a while since I've done this one, but I mean, in this area has a pretty high, actually it has a pretty high neighborhood average for, it's a pretty dense neighborhood in terms of residential. So it does have kind of a higher bar to set to. And I think, Alderman Guenther, I forgot, does this cover the whole site? Like does the building cover the whole site, or is there some surface area? It does. Okay.
It does.
Yeah. And another reason too is if this was an existing, the scorecard gives some preference to existing buildings in that because you're kind of confined by the envelope of the building, whereas this one is a new. I mean, it looks very consistent with the neighborhood but it is new construction. So therefore, with new construction, we ask a little bit more of a developer. So, I mean, 3.75 is a fine score at passing. And that's kind of a summary of why it might be not at a 4 or a 5.
Okay. And so I question that because I know in the past when we see a lot of these, we rarely see 3s and 3.7s. It's usually 4 out of 5 or it's really up there. I know definitely my projects in my ward or when we're trying to make it all work. But I guess I just don't want people to be confused about what this is. You know, it was tax assurance, tax abatement. Basically, it still is an abatement and it still is an incentive. And my whole point is that I just would like for my colleagues, specifically my colleague from the 9th Ward, to be more understandable when other people are trying to get bills like this done. I know, I don't know if it's a sense of privilege or entitlement or whatever, but when these bills come before us, specifically out the 9th Ward, you know, it's packaged up with this red bow on it, like, yeah, the community was engaged and it's a great thing, but when stuff happened in North St. Louis, it's always met with resistance and, oh, we're giving developers too much and it's so many, you know, the projects are this or that or whatever, but I have multi-million-dollar projects in my ward, and the lesson here is that sometimes when costs go up and, you know, there's a gap somewhere, you have to try to fill it. And the abatement or whatever you want to call it is the means to do that. So I just want us to start being more fair across the board, start being more respectful. And, you know, some people don't like courtesy, but I'm a big proponent of courtesy. I would never sit here and chop your bill up or critique your bill, but I just hope that moving forward, you know, I can be shown the same courtesy, because if not, then I can use what resources I have to not show you the courtesy that I'm willing to show you. So I just hope that going forward, we start being a little bit more respectful of the leadership in each individual ward. We all were elected by our constituents. And I feel that if you're living in that ward, you're representing that ward, you know what's best for that ward. And I just want that to transcend, you know, throughout the city, especially when we're handling bills like this, because you know what the needs are, just like I know what the needs are in my ward. And if there are no other comments regarding this, I'll entertain a motion for passage of Board Bill 182.
I make a motion that we pass out Bill 182 with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Chairwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Board Bill 182 is out with the due pass recommendation. Board Bill 182. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee.
Next, we have before us Board Bill 205, Alderman Bosley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a simple tax abatement for a home that a few residents helped another new resident of the ward obtain, and it's in one of the areas that is coming up. It's in the Hyde Park area, so we're asking for a 15-year abatement, 10 years at 95%. They have now moved into the house, and at some point in time, the taxes will be going up. It's the entire family, so we ask for your favorable consideration. And I'll, of course, entertain any questions at your request.
Alderman, is there anybody else to speak on behalf of this bill? I don't have that sheet in front of me. Did we have any speakers? I'm just trying to make sure. I've been forgetting to ask that.
I don't see anyone specifically for this bill.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Cone.
So am I the only one that's missing this from my packet?
This was emailed to you separately. I wasn't aware of this board bill. My apologies.
Okay. Is it on the Google? Is it on the Google Drive?
No, it should be in the email.
I have it.
Some ministries developed this property. They do similar work like affordable habitat, donated labor and materials, but they renovate homes. So got this application a while back, so that's why the property, the new homeowner is moving in now. So.
Okay, so this is the property that's on Agnes.
Yes.
Okay.
We're following the tax abatement map, 10 years at 95 and 5 years at 50.
Okay, so is this I see it the separate email. It's on it different inbox. So it's the acquisition cost was $38,000. That doesn't say how much they're spending to rehab it.
With habitat, it's hard to determine what they're spending. So it could be 38, it could be 100, because most of the labor and materials are donated for the renovation. So it's hard to determine. The tax abatement is mostly for the buyer. That's why we did it to, same reason why we do the habitat homes, we tie a tax abatement to it. So this.
Okay, I missed that it was a habitat home. Sorry.
Habitat, but similar to habitat. Some ministries does the same thing. They buy properties and renovate them, and then they sell them. But when they renovate, they get things donated to them, labor and materials. That's why it's hard to determine what the investment is.
Okay. Okay. No other questions.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Yes, so my understanding is that there was a building there in, I guess, I want to say deplorable condition, and it was vacant. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no, I think it sounds good. I do have the bill and all the particulars. I'm looking at them, and I believe that it seems fine to me. I'm happy for you that it's getting rehabilitated. I know how important that is on a block to keep the continuity there. So I wish you the best on that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Ryan, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just one question. I'm just looking at the Google Maps on this to try and look at the block. So this parcel is is an empty lot at this point, or is this one of the houses in the rows here? I'm having a hard time looking at the actual addresses on the rows.
It's one that houses in the rows.
Okay.
Map.
All right. That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Alderman Todd.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions.
Okay, so I don't have any questions. Congratulations, Alderman Bosley. I know how challenging it can be sometimes to get just anything done in your ward. So I definitely commend you for your efforts. So at this time, if there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion for passage of Board Bill 205.
I move that we pass Board Bill 205 out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
I'll second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Chairwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
I'm sorry, and Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Thank you. Board Bill 205 is out with the do pass recommendation. Next, so I'll step down from being the chair so I can present my two bills. Alderman Cone, are you available to share the meeting?
I am.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, so next we have board bills from Alderwoman Hubbard, Board Bill 220.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. Board Bill 220 is a project that I'm definitely excited about. It's been a long time coming. The developer is Blackline. The construction costs are $23 million. There will be multiple studio and one-bedroom units, approximately 116 on-site parking spaces, and it proposes 62 full-time jobs. The developer is here as well if you all have any questions. And what this bill calls for is a tax abatement of up to 20 years, with 15 years based on 95% of the assessed value. This would be a welcome addition to that area on Broadway. It has been blighted for some time. There is little to no residential down there, and we all know that we definitely have a need for a lot of residential units, especially in that thoroughfare of the city. So it's my hope that you all will offer your favorable support. And if you all have any questions, I'll take them, as well as the developer who is on, who can answer any additional questions you all may have. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually don't have a list of the different committee folks at the moment, but I'll do my best to remember the order, because I do know who's online at the moment. But I believe I'm next in seniority. So I'm just curious. Well, first I have to express a great deal of excitement about this project. You know, I've biked along that North Broadway corridor for many, many years, and I'm just always astounded at the massive amounts of buildings and vacancy and underutilization in that corridor. This will hopefully be a catalyst for other developments along that corridor in the future. It's very underutilized right now, a tremendous amount of potential in my estimation, at least, you know, for more residential in particular, just because a lot of these are either currently being used as storage or were developed as warehouses when they were first built, and or manufacturing. And so, you know, I think it's also a connection to our history's past, you know, the city's past and our history. And I think it's wonderful to see these being reutilized and bringing hopefully more residents into the city. I know it's probably going to be challenging for the folks that initially live in this part of the city because there aren't very many resources around that area. I think getting tenants in there is going to be probably fairly difficult for the developers, at least initially. As that corridor hopefully improves, they'll have more success at that. But I think that's also one of the reasons why we would offer more incentives to someone who's kind of first on the ground, so to speak, in a particular area of our city. And so, I want to thank and commend, the developer for taking a look at this section of our city, and hopefully there's more to come. So, with respect to, just the tax abatement itself or the incentives that are being provided, is this in line, and this isn't necessarily for the sponsor, probably more so for Matt or Zach. This is a residential property, but it's greater than $1 million. So we wouldn't necessarily use the map for this project, but it rated 5 out of 5 on the project proposal. I'm guessing that that's because it is a rehab, because this also has a pretty, at least from the photos, it looks like it's a pretty significant surface parking lot.
Yeah, John Ferry is the one who scored it, who can speak on that.
Yeah.
Is Jonathan on the phone?
Yes, he is.
I am.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I can speak to that. And that kind of goes back to Alderwoman Hubbard's question on Alderman Guenther's project. So it's interesting to compare these two because this one does get 5 out of 5 as opposed to 3.75. But they both, if you look in year 5, are both going to be generating about the same amount of taxes per square foot of land area. And that's how we compare all these projects, is on per square foot of land area. This one will be at $1.61 a square foot, and the one on Jefferson was at $1.65 per square foot. And so it's all about what is sort of the opportunity cost, the capability of taxes being generated in an area based on the economic strength of what's currently going on around it. And this area is generating substantially less right now today than the area around where the project on South Jefferson was at. So it is a much larger site though. So on a gross, overall level of revenue, this project will generate more revenue than the South Jefferson one, just because it is so much bigger. So for example, this project will generate $956,000 to the city over 10 years, as opposed to the other one, which was around 260, I think. And over 20 years, this will generate about $1.8 million to the city over the existing base. To the school district, it'll be about a $17,000 benefit over 10 years and about $46,000 over the existing base over 20 years. The advantage over the neighborhood average is substantial as well, almost $800,000 over 10 years to the city and 1.6 million over 20, and then $14,000 over 10 years to the school district and $40,000 over 20 years to the school district. Total value of the incentive is $1.1 million, which is a little over 3% of the project cost. And the return to the developer is in the lower end of the range of normal market values at 6.8% with the incentive, where that range is normally 6.3 to 9.3. So does that answer your questions, Alderman Cohn?
It does. Thank you.
Oh, this is Matt. I was going to add a little explanation to what John said. And another thing we look at is what the underlying kind of land use is. And this was previously an industrial site, so kind of increasing the use of that to include residential, and I believe there's some commercial here too. Whereas the site on Jefferson was neighborhood commercial, which already is a very high producing type land use, whereas industrial doesn't generate a lot of taxes under its proposed use. So I just wanted to add that.
we have several taxes on industrial companies, so I'd be curious about the analysis with respect to that. Manufacturing does produce a decent amount of tax revenue. But that's the whole other separate conversation. So I'll take questions from the committee. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions. I think all mine were asked and answered by Alderman Cohen. I think I'm fine with the, I want to congratulate developer for looking into that area and sticking with it, and Alderwoman Hubbard too. I say congratulations. Thank you.
Alderman Bosley.
Thank you. I do have one question. I don't have the ability or access right now to the actual Google files. I know why though. I got to probably my phone here. So, what exact intersection are we talking about on Broadway?
I could answer that. It's an entire city block on North Broadway, stretching from Chambers to Madison, and then from Broadway east to North 2nd Street.
Oh man, that's tight. All right. Well, yeah, that was the question I had to. That's what I would like. So, no further questions. Alderwoman, amazing job. Thank you also to the developer. We definitely need a lot of revitalization. This is going to be an amazing project. And I definitely hope people continue to work along that corridor, so we can connect, all the efforts being done. This is a great thing for the city. Appreciate you, bro.
All right. Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Narayan.
Thank you. Just looking over this, I think this is an exciting project. I think that it's going to be pretty neat to see that corridor there, the North Riverfront there, start to revitalize. And in order to do that, you certainly have to get a toehold in. And I think that this is the kind of project that could do that. I also like the fact that you've coupled the incentivizations with affordable housing units. I think too often we incentivize, luxury apartment living, and so I'm happy to see that. If we're going to incentivize, these huge scale projects, which of course some of them need, that we're also coupling affordable living for folks here in the city. Great project. Has my support. Thank you.
Alderman Todd.
I don't have any comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 220.
I move we pass Board Bill 220 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Okay. It was motioned by the Alderwoman from the 13th Ward and seconded by the Alderman from the 3rd Ward that we pass out Board Bill 220 with a due pass recommendation. There was a call for a previous roll. Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 220 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
I have one more. I have one more, Alderman Cone.
I only have one on my agenda here. What's the other?
Bill 227.
Okay, so I guess I'll resume chair of the committee here. So Alderwoman, would you like to present on Board Bill 227?
Thank you. Board Bill 227 is definitely a project that I support. Just to give you a little background on it, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, a doctor wanted to meet with me. She had retired from doing some of her other work, and I think she grew up in St. Louis, and then she moved out or whatever. But so she came back, and so her passion was just to bring her practice to the old North St. Louis neighborhood, and live there as well. And I mean, she leveraged a lot of her own personal money, and she has been very adamant about putting some additional healthcare and health resources in a healthcare desert. And so I was adamant about supporting her every step of the way. I mean, and she literally, you know, most times when people do this stuff, they have some lawyer or some attorney helping them navigate the city process, but she did it on her own. And she has a lot of personal skin in the game to try to bring her practice and to actually live above her practice in an area of the city that, you know, most people don't seek out when they're trying to do something such as this. So it's something that I'm definitely proud of. Her plans are to construct a 2-story mixed-use building on a previously owned LRA lot. It will be 1,500 square feet of medical space on the first floor, 3-bedroom private residence on the second floor, and 2 on-site parking spaces with the ability to have 6 full-time jobs. It's in the old North St. Louis neighborhood, and basically this abatement map, it calls for up to 10 years at 95% plus 5 years at 50%. And I would just ask for your favorable support regarding this. The renderings look great. It'll create some cohesion in that neighborhood. And I know, just like in the old North St. Louis neighborhood, for a long time, the city, you know, had dumped a lot of resources in there, but it's just anything north of Delmore, it has been a challenge. And so there's a lot of fill-in availability. And I'm just glad that there's a lot of things happening. You know, that portion of our ward in conjunction with downtown is very hot right now. NGA is coming in. So a lot of people are starting to really put a microscope on that area. And I just applaud individuals who come in with their own money and try to just make something happen. So I definitely support this project. And I'm just looking forward to us having another medical practice in our ward, because right now we have like 0 to none. And so it's important to have local people investing back in their neighborhood. And I support this, and I ask that you would support it as well. And I'll take any questions that you all may have, any of the most intimate details regarding it or whatever. I'm pretty sure SLDC can offer some insight on it, as they have been working with her through this process. Thank you.
I personally don't have any questions about it, so I'll take questions from the committee. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions. It sounds wonderful. Well, maybe just one. So she's actually doing a new build here?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I said, then my next question is, I want to meet this woman. This is wonderful.
She has a beautiful spirit. I definitely will arrange that. When I first met her, we just sat down and had coffee. Nice lady, very nice lady.
Very good. Well, congratulations. And I wish her the very best. This is very exciting. No more questions.
Great. I'm trying to remember who is next. Alderman Bosley, I believe, is next.
I don't have any questions. Once again, great job. It's going to be an interesting next few years as we see how all these different corridors change around where the NGA is and how things kind of ripple out from that centerpiece. So, you know, I'm excited, and definitely appreciate you taking into consideration how important it is for us to be involved in the process. So thank you.
Alderman Narayan.
Thank you. Just one question. Do you know the doctor, is she planning on doing a general practice there, or is she specializing in something? Are folks from the community going to be able to utilize this as their primary care?
I believe so. I have to jog my memory. I want to say she was a primary care physician. I'm not exactly sure, or it may be specialized, but I do know that in that community where, like, we have Athenia Healthcare, and then we have the new hospital that's scheduled to be built right across from NGA. But the health disparities just in the 5th ward, totally. I mean, we have the least life expectancy, the highest infant mortality rate, highest rates for diabetes and hypertension. So it's one of the worst zip codes in the entire state, and there's the least access to healthcare. So I can get back with you on what her specialized practice is, but that community over there is very diverse. There are children, women, men, young adults. So I'm pretty sure she will be able to definitely service people in their community. So I am confident about that. I just can't recall at the time what her specific practice will be, but she has been working in the medical field. She's a MD, and I believe her husband was an MD. They've been doctors and been practicing for many years.
Perfect. Yeah, I was hoping for a general practice, just because I kind of love that model of the doctor, you know, who lives in the community and people know him, and he gets to, or her, and they get to know the people. And yeah, so I was just kind of hoping that's what it was, but I think this is a great project. I'm supportive of it. Thank you. And I don't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Todd.
No, I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 227.
I move we pass Board Bill 227 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous
So
roll.
it's been motioned by the Alderman from the 13th Ward, seconded by the Alderman from the 24th Ward, that we pass out Board Bill 227 with a due pass recommendation. There was a motion for previous roll. Are there any objections to previous roll? Hearing no objections, Board Bill 227 passes out with a due pass recommendation. And I do have the rest of the agenda, and I don't see any more from the Alderwoman from the 5th Ward. So Madam Chair, you're welcome to resume your chairmanship of the committee.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman. And I believe this concludes our business for today. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.